has been a lot of new rules in this new 2025 already. Thank you for highlighting those, and we really appreciate. And during the course of the preparation, we've had some pre-submitted questions, and that is what we'll be going into now. We've had some people ask their questions, and Mr. Ladi will be answering them. And then there'll still be space and chance for people that have questions here live, which will still give you space to do that. But for now, we'll be going to the pre-submitted questions. We've had some, and Mr. Ladi will be answering them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'll run through this. I think I have 35 questions. So I'll run through them. The first question says, as a holder of a skilled work visa, am I eligible to register and start a business? So the simple answer is that there's no reason why you cannot register a business, but you are not allowed to start a business. That's just it. You are not allowed while you're on a skilled work visa to start a business. My advice for people who want to do business is, if you have a dependent, then let your dependent start that business. They don't have any restriction. But as long as you're on the skilled work visa, legally speaking, you're not allowed to start a business. Are there any specific restrictions, requirements, or permissions I need to obtain from my employer before doing so? I think this question answered itself. You are not allowed to start a business, so don't even go to your employer and tell your employer that I want to start a business. How long do I have to be resident in the UK before I can register a business in my name and open a business bank account? You can go online and register a business today. I think it costs, I think £17 or £18. You don't have to. You can register a business name. And because you register a business name does not mean you started business. So if I'm on a skilled work visa today, I can go online and register a business name and leave it there. I don't have to. So long as I don't do business with that name, I'm fine. And also, you can open a business bank account as well. Although, if the Home Office maybe then finds out, and then it can lead to questions like, okay, if you say you're not doing business, why did you go and open a business bank account? So one needs to be careful about opening a business bank account. Opening the business name and stopping at that is fine, but when you now start opening a business bank account, the Home Office might say, look, definitely you are doing business. And then if money is not going in, then forget it. It says, how fast can I, second question says, how fast can I get my ILR? Well, 5 years on skill, if you're on a skilled work visa, it's 5 years. There's no two ways about it. If you're on the global talent visa, it's 3 years. If you're on the innovator founder, it's 3 years. So that's the only way you can get your ILR. 5 years on skilled work visa, unless you're married. If you're married to a British citizen, or somebody that has indefinite leave to remain, it's still 5 years to settlement. But if there's an issue of domestic violence, if for example, you get married to a British citizen today, 2 weeks down the line or 3 weeks down the line, there's domestic violence. If you apply under the domestic violence route, you get your settlement immediately. So that's just how it works. How do you get an immigration lawyer to solve your immigration problem? Well, you can call me and I'll solve your immigration problem if I can. It says, if you are married but have an uncle who literally became your father and who is a citizen, does that qualify you for citizenship visa? It doesn't qualify you for citizenship visa. It doesn't qualify you for any visa. Are there any benefits for such relationships? To be honest, there's absolutely no benefits. If your uncle or your auntie or your cousin or any family member for that matter is a British citizen, it doesn't make any difference. It says, can I switch from my present sponsorship I have currently to a sponsorship of a different job code? Yes, you can switch employers, you can switch jobs as well toward your settlement, which is 5 years. So you can mix and match, basically. What jobs offer? Okay, another question somebody asked was that how long can I stay outside of the UK? You are not allowed no more than 180 days in any 12 months period. So 180 days is 6 months, isn't it? So you're not allowed more than 6 months in any 12 months period. The problem is this: if even though the law says that, but I can assure you that if you stay outside of the UK for more than 6 months. When you're coming back in one day, they will stop you at the border control, and they'll ask you that, look, you are meant to work full time. Where do you find time to travel 6 months of a 12 month year? And then it can lead to something else. What jobs offer direct sponsorship? Well, all you have to do is go on the um, just type SOC list, and then you find all the jobs. Any job that you find on the SOC list, and that is the shortage occupation list, you can get sponsorship for it. All sorts. You can even get sponsorship for being a minister of religion. You can get sponsorship so it's not only healthcare worker, IT jobs, painters, foreman, anything. Somebody says, can your office assist with sponsorship? Well, we don't give sponsorship, but we can assist in making applications, but we don't do sponsorship. What steps should I take to ensure I remain compliant with immigration laws as a business owner? You can't go wrong with having a lawyer by your side and having an accountant. Those two are important. But if you are somebody that you can swim by yourself, so to say, then you just have to stay abreast of the law, regularly updating yourself via the Home Office websites, and also the HMRC as well. ILR and conversion from a graduate visa to skill visa. Yes, you can convert from a graduate visa to a skill visa if you get sponsorship. Unfortunately, while you're on the post-study work, it doesn't count towards your ILR, and definitely leave to remain. So it only starts counting when you're on a skilled visa, and this is for the 5-year rule. We have a 10-year rule to settlement. If you've been in the UK for 10 years lawfully, so if, for example, you've been in the UK for 5 years as a student, 2 years on post-study, that's 7 years, 3 years on skilled work visa. For those 10 years, you can apply for settlement. So a post-study work will not count under the 5-year rule, but will count under the 10-year rule for long residency. It says, what happens if your employer terminated your employment unlawfully, affecting your visa sponsorship and rights to live in the UK status? If what happens is that the Home Office will give you 60 days to go and look for another employer. So you need to go and look for another employer. So there are two things there. The being sacked unlawfully, so you can have recourse to the employment tribunal, but you will only be able to have recourse to the employment tribunal if you have a right to stay in the UK. So my advice to that person is get sponsorship first, and then you can fight that unlawful sack through the tribunal. New changes pertaining to immigration laws for immigrants. I think I've mentioned that. I'm on number 12, so I think I need to. Laura, please, if I'm a lawyer, so I talk a lot. So, the limit working hours for skilled workers. For your employer, you can work overtime. You can work if you want to work 100 hours for your own employer. That's not a problem. However, if you want to work in another job, it must not be more than 20 hours a week. It used to be that they changed that before, that you can work as many hours as you like for any other employer, but now they've brought it back to 20 hours a week in another job. But there's a catch to it. You must still continue doing your own sponsored work. So so if you want to work 20 hours for somebody else, you must still be working your 37.5 hours for the person that has sponsored you. The 20-hour work must also be on the SOC list. So you can't go and do a job. For example, you can't say, I'm going to go and be an Uber driver. An Uber driver is not on the SOC list. So they'll catch you out on that. You can do unpaid voluntary work, and you can do as many hours as possible. So you see, for example, the UKBA, the Home Office, they do enforcement actions a lot. They can go into a workplace and say, oh, we want to see, and then you say, oh, look, you are meant to be working for so and so person. What are you doing here? Your defense can be that I'm here, I'm just doing unpaid voluntary work, and they wouldn't be able to do anything because you're allowed to do unpaid voluntary work. So that's something that you should always remember for people that Maybe you might encounter the enforcement team somewhere, and they will ask you that, what are you doing there? You are being sponsored by somebody else. Hey, I'm here. I'm doing unpaid voluntary work. Okay. So it says, is it legally allowed to resign from a recently acquired work visa sponsor to another sponsor without repercussion? Oh, yes. So if somebody sponsors you today, you come into the UK for in 2 weeks and you want to go to another sponsor, there's no reason why. You can move sponsors as you like. There's no restriction whatsoever. Advisories on incorporating business in the UK. I've said this, you can incorporate your business by, if the law allows you to, by going on Companies House. So I think I'll just make mention of this quickly because this question might come in. You have people now, they talk about, they'll say self-sponsorship. I want to self-sponsor myself. So there's nothing like self-sponsorship. Self-sponsorship is actually not lawful under the skilled worker. If you're a skilled worker, you cannot self-sponsor yourself. Of course, people are devising ways to go around rules, which I can talk about that later. But you can't self-sponsor yourself on a skilled work visa. But there are ways around it. So the ways around it, what people do is either you get somebody to front a company for you, and that company will employ you as the skilled worker, or you become part ownership of that business. You become a part owner. Now, when I say part owner, you just become a shareholder. Okay, you are not going to be a director. You just become a shareholder. Because when you go and put yourself out as a director, they can come back and say you are running the business. Okay. It says, my wife accused me of assaulting her. I made a police report. I was arrested but not charged. And I'm due to apply for a visa extension. Would that affect my application? No, it will not affect your application. Being arrested is not, you can be arrested so long as you are not charged. There's no issue whatsoever. So I'll make mention of one thing. The police are very quick today. So I have a client who went to work in a client's home, went to work in a service user's home, and then used that person's phone, service user's phone, to call home for an emergency or whatever. And then they reported that person, and she got arrested. And when she got to the police station, the police then said, "Oh, we understand that you're trying to use this. You use the phone for an emergency. Blah blah blah. We won't charge you if you receive it if you accept a caution from us." And she thought maybe a caution was just don't do it again. But a caution actually goes on your record. It's like a criminal record, and that messed up our visa. So don't accept any cautions. Cautions are different from arrest. So if they arrest you and they let you go, it's not an issue at all. The only time when an arrest can be an issue is when you want to get settlement. So if you are arrested and the police are now saying, look, we're going to investigate the matter, we'll wait for another, and then they'll say, we'll get back to you. If you want to apply for settlement, if you apply for settlement and the police have not dropped the charge or they are still investigating, they won't approve your settlement until the police drops the charge or they charge you and the court frees you. So that's that one. But we're seeing that a lot, we're seeing that a lot where partners now want to use domestic violence to stay in the country, to get asylum. We're seeing that a lot whereby they just walk to the police and say this is what is going on. Appeals for asylum seekers, yes, appeals you can appeal as an asylum seeker if they believe that your case is genuine. I mean, that it has a substance, but they can deny you an appeal if they believe that your claim does not have any merit whatsoever. It says, if you're on PSW and want to switch to study visa, do you pay NHS again? Unfortunately, you pay NHS again. Yeah, they're so callous about that. I applied for my graduate visa together with my dependent. I succeeded in applying for mine few minutes before my visa expired, while he submitted his application a few minutes after his visa expired. Please, can my dependent visa be issued? Yes, your dependent visa can be issued. even though it's a few minutes late. But I'll quickly touch upon that. So people have this issue. If your visa expires before you apply for an extension, technically you become an overstayer. Even if it is for even if it is for 5 minutes, you become an overstayer. However, the law gives a 14-day window. So within 14 days, if you can make an application within 14 days, they will consider your application, even though you are an overstayer. But you have to give reasons why you did not apply on time. But after the 14-day window, there's nothing they can do. There's no exception to the rule. They will not consider your application. They will say you're an overstayer. Whatever the reasons are, no matter how genuine it is, they will not consider it. I got married with a lady and she used her papers to cover me. And we sent to Home Office and Home Office told her to bring original documents. She refused because we got small problem. Then since 4 years, I didn't hear from her. So Home Office refused. So if you can help me to get my papers, please. I can't help you to get your papers, unfortunately. If you don't hear from the Home Office, if that woman, if your spouse or your partner is not going to support your application, you have a problem. Now, this is a classic case of domestic violence. Nigerians think domestic violence is when you use physical violence. If somebody is using their papers, their status, to use it as like a kind of a sword against you, it's domestic violence. Not being able to go out, not being able to use your phone is domestic violence. Not allowing you access to your own money is domestic violence. So in this kind of a case, for this person that asked this question, this is a classic case of domestic violence. This is somebody using their papers to make you to conform in one way or the other. So you can get settlement via this, actually. It says, can I get a copy of immigration law? You can get it online, and books are available where you can buy. How do I get work visa with visa sponsorship? Well, you have to apply for sponsors that have sponsorship licenses. It says if a dependent became main applicant on COS, and main applicant became a dependent, what will happen to the kids, please? Well, they simply switch, so they're still your dependents, no matter who is holding the visa. And 28 says, what are public funds? This is also very important. Be very, very careful what kind of funds that you apply for. Public funds, child benefits, tax credits. There's actually a link which I can share of what are public funds. Somebody sent me a link last week and said, do I want to apply for a grant she wants to be a social worker, and there's grants available. And she was saying, is this public funds? No, they're not public funds. Those are not public funds. Bursaries are not public funds. But there's a link I can share with you of the list of what public funds are. It says, I'm pregnant, expecting to put to bed soon, and I need my partner to be here to experience it. But my salary is not 29,000. So please, which other available way to bring him that will best for them to accept him and not refuse him? Well, there are discretionary grounds. If there are exceptional circumstances why you want him to be, if there are exceptional circumstances why he should be here, the Home Office would allow it, but usually they would not allow it if you do not earn £29,000 a year. But I think that £29,000 is actually being challenged in court, but we haven't heard anything about that back. He said, is it possible for the dependent to get ILR before the main applicant who came in through school? Yeah, it's possible under the 10-year route. It's also possible under the 5-year route, although I don't see how that would pan out. But yes, a dependent can get an ILR before the main applicant. There are instances where they can. What are the chances of getting a decision overturned at an administrative review? So what are the chances? The chances are as good as your grounds. But the only challenge for administrative review is that it is the same Home Office that refused your application that is doing the administrative reviews. And another challenge for administrative reviews is that administrative reviews are reviewed based on errors of law and not on facts. So, and they would not consider documents that were available at that time that you ought to have submitted. So that is why administrative reviews are very difficult to overturn. It says, what other options are open to a person after an administrative review decision? So there's something we call a judicial review. If your administrative review is returned, you can go for judicial review. A judicial review is where you go before a judge and tell the judge that the decision of the Home Office, being a public body, is wrong, and you want to challenge it. Administrative review actually have better chances of success. I mean, judicial review has better chances of success than administrative review because it is done by judges and not by that same Home Office. The only problem about JRs is that that's a short form of judicial reviews, is that they're expensive because we are going to the upper tribunal, so they are more expensive. But it's what it is, and that is how you can overturn an AR. How can I extend my stay in the UK? Well, I don't. But I've only got 33. I think you said there are two more questions, so that came in. But that's number 33, so I can do number 30. Maybe if you read out 34 and 35, I can. Okay. All right. So
Yes,
I have
I'm going
34.
to check through now.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I think
Yes, we have
30.
34, please.
All right. 34 says how to renew Tier 5 visas after you get new CS from new employer.
Yes.
So Tier 5 visas, unfortunately, they've actually changed the name now. But you can't really renew Tier 5 visas. They have, I think the maximum for Tier 5 is now 2 years. It's between 12 months and 24 months. So to renew it, you can't renew it, but you can switch to other visas. But you can't renew it. I'm sorry if I was a bit too fast, but I think I've gone through the 34 questions that I have. Thank you.